Hello, and welcome to this video where I will go through the standard features and all of the options that are available for the Audi Q6 e-Tron in 2024. I currently have an A4 Avant that I bought in 2016, and I've ordered a Q6 which is due to arrive in January 2025. I'll film a review of that car after it arrives, but in the meantime I wanted to demystify the option list for the Q6. I made a similar video in 2016 for the then new B9 version of the A4. This video was hugely popular and has had over 200,000 views, so I hope that I can help people again who are trying to make sense of the options list for the Q6 e-Tron. There are lots of options and this might take a while, so buckle your seatbelt and let's go. Before we dive into the versions and options though, a word of warning. For some reason, Audi sells different options and combinations or packs of options in each country. I've looked at the Audi websites for around 10 different countries, and the variety is remarkable. This means that I can't talk about the option packs because they aren't standard, and you may find that some of the options I mention are not available in your country. I've tried to make sure that what I present here is as comprehensive as possible, especially by referring to the German website, which looks to be the most complete and has more explanations. But it may be that your country will have some specific options, such as particular designs of alloy wheels, that aren't shown here. Moreover, when I made this video, the car only seemed to be available in Europe, so viewers in other countries will have to wait to see which versions, packs and options will be available to them. Consequently, check your local Audi website and then go and talk to someone in your local showroom, because they may have more flexibility in their systems than you find on the website. I'd like to thank my local Audi showroom for their time and good humour during the process of ordering my Q6 and for answering my detailed questions. The pictures and videos that I have used here are mostly either downloaded from Audi's public websites or media resources, or ones that I've taken myself, plus one that was provided by my local showroom. I'm grateful to Audi for making so many resources available. I should also say that I have no relationship with Audi other than as a customer for this car. This video is not sponsored or supported by Audi or anyone else in any way. Let's get started then by looking at the base versions of the Q6 e-Tron. Despite the national differences, the Q6 configurators on the Audi websites that I've seen all follow more or less the same steps for the major options, and so I will go through them in turn, followed by a roundup of all of the options. Before anything else, you have to choose between the regular Q6 and the SQ6. The SQ6 is more powerful and has a number of cosmetic enhancements to differentiate it from the regular Q6, but most of the options in fact are the same. This video will mainly focus on the Q6 because that's probably what most people, myself included, will buy, but there is a brief look at the options for the SQ6 towards the end. The next choice that you have is the version. Now you might think that the basic versions of the car would at least be the same across different countries, but sadly this is not the case. At present, all models share the same 100 kWh battery pack, although there are rumours of a cheaper model coming in 2025 with a smaller battery. The main differences between the versions are the choice of rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive and the power of the motors. There are also some cosmetic differences, such as different grille colours or surrounds. The basic model is paradoxically often called the Advanced. I've also seen it called the Basis in Germany or Design in France, for example. This is the rear-wheel drive version with 306 horsepower, a top speed of 210 km per hour or 130 miles per hour, and acceleration to 100 km per hour in 6.7 seconds. And this is the version that I chose. There is also an upgraded motor with 387 horsepower and acceleration to 100 in 5.9 seconds, and then the SQ6, which comes in at 489 horsepower and 4.4 seconds. The quoted range for the basic model is from 557 to 625 kilometers, depending on the cycle, and it will charge at up to 260 or 270 kilowatts per hour, I see both figures in different places. Going from 10 to 80% of charge in 21 minutes in optimal charging conditions. It's worth noting that the more powerful versions have shorter ranges, since they share the same sized battery. The main step up is towards the Quattro versions, which have a motor on each axle and are therefore four-wheel drive. This may be especially useful in colder climates, since the Q6 is rather heavy at around 2.2 tons. At the time of recording, there are various other versions available. As well as the different motor options, these generally include some cosmetic upgrades on the exterior of the car, such as differently styled front grille and bumpers. For example, here is the basic version, the S-Line, the Edition 1 Grey, and the Edition 1 Blue. The Spanish Audi site also has a Black Line edition. These versions are likely to change though, so check your local Audi website for the current choices. The second step in the Audi configurators is typically a choice of various option packs. I won't go into these because they vary from country to country. However, I hope my explanations of the individual options will help you to understand what these packs contain and to select which ones you might want. Next, you can choose the external paint colour. The basic colour is magnet grey, and any other colour is generally a paid option. You can see pictures of all of the available colours now. Sadly, there aren't many colours available outside the boring monochrome palette of white, grey and black, just 2 blues and a red, which is a bit of a shame. There's also an option to have the wheel arches in the same colour instead of the standard plastic grey. For my money, rather expensive and unnecessary, like quite a lot of the cosmetic options, and it's not available with all of the body colours. The next step is highly market dependent, which is alloy wheels. Wheel sizes range from 18 to 21 inches, and you will find up to 10 different designs of alloy wheels, but some markets have as few as 2 options. In the UK, for example, as of July 2024, there is only one 19-inch option and one 20-inch option. Personally, I'm not bothered about expensive alloy wheels, and I'm happy with the standard model. The smaller wheel size is better for ride comfort and range, which I consider more important. The next step is usually the choice of seats and interior upholstery. The basic seats are black fabric, and there are 2 types of upgrades. The standard upgrades are to a mix of leather and leatherette, with 3 colour options, black, brown or pale beige. Alternatively, there are sports seats at various levels including fabric, the 3 leather and leatherette colours, and S-line seats. Some of these come with related options such as lumbar support, the materials on the armrest, doors and interior roof, decorative inserts and the like. Other options, such as the sports steering wheel or pedals, may be included in certain seat packs. The S-line seats include a massage function, and extendable thigh support is available, I think, only on the sports and S-line seats. In my configuration, I took a pack that included the leather and leatherette sports seats, and I chose the pale beige option to go with the dark blue exterior paint. A last step may be the choice of steering wheel. There are at least 4 different options with slightly different shapes, round or flattened at the top and bottom, and with paddle shifters for the regenerative braking. Often you may find that the steering wheel is already selected as part of an option pack, and not all versions are available in all markets. If you look very carefully, there is another difference on the cruise control stalk. I think that's the difference between the regular and adaptive cruise controls, with the regular one missing the distance control. Now that we've looked at the main choices that you can make in the configurators, we can finally look at the standard equipment and the options. I've split these into a number of categories, which are exterior equipment, interior equipment, console and infotainment, safety systems, driving assistance and warning systems, and miscellaneous. Audi mentions a lot of items in their lists of standard equipment, and so I'll go through each category in turn, showing you first the standard equipment and then the available options. Where possible, I have included pictures, but for a lot of the standard equipment these are hard to find, since the press cars and Audi's published media tend to feature cars with high levels of options. I've left out some of the obvious items like the brakes and windows. Also, please be aware that this list is based partly on the information I have received with my order, although I have tried to check this against technical specifications from other countries, and some items may depend on local legislation. In particular, when I made this video, the Q6 was not available to configure and buy in the US, so any American viewers are definitely advised to check this information. Here you can see the list of items in the standard configuration for the exterior equipment. The standard exterior has magnet grey paint and the base alloy wheels, which vary according to your country, usually either 18 or 19-inch wheels. It has black window surrounds and roof rails, and charge ports on either side. The boot lid and the wing mirrors are electrically operated, with heating for the mirrors. The basic lights are all LEDs, and the car is fitted with summer tyres. Moving on to the options, I went over the metallic paint and wheel options earlier. Relating to the wheels, you can also specify red brake calipers, which I believe are purely cosmetic, and anti-theft wheel nuts. The frunk is an option. I think if you're interested in electric cars, you'll already know what this is, basically a small extra luggage space under the bonnet. This may surprise some of you since it is standard in some cars such as the Teslas, but here it's an option and not that cheap either, so it's one that I left out. The photo here shows what it looks like under the bonnet without the frunk. There are a couple of glass options, for acoustic glass on the front doors to reduce cabin noise and tinted rear windows. Then there are options to upgrade the lights. You can get matrix LED headlights which allow for things like selective dimming of portions of the high beam to avoid dazzling other drivers, and which also have the more elaborate running lights with different patterns. You can get headlight washers with a nozzle in a block that emerges underneath the headlights and sprays them with water. Interestingly, what you may think are the headlights are actually the running lights, and the headlights themselves are more discreetly positioned beneath them. Lastly, with regard to the lights, you can have rear lights with an optional LED strip going across the car. As far as I can see, that's the only change with this option. You can also get light projectors in the wing mirrors with a variety of light signatures that are projected on the ground when you open the doors. I don't really see the point of this, although it's something that many luxury brands have put in their cars. The final option is a very practical one, a retractable tow bar. I have ordered this so that I can use my bike rack. The Q6 has quite good towing capabilities, although I'm pretty sure that kills the battery very quickly. I haven't really looked into this though. Although that was the final listed option, you may also be able to ask your dealer to fit different tyres. I wanted all-season tyres instead of the summer tyres, and the dealer offered me two options, Goodyear and Michelin. Don't expect them to be cheap though. While I was editing this video, a new option showed up on the German website, a carbon rear spoiler. This is quite expensive and is meant to emphasize the car's sporty design. The interior section covers things like the seats, steering wheel, and various other items not related to the infotainment system, which is the next section. The basic seats are black fabric with manual adjustment and heating for the front seats. The rear bench folds in a 40-20-40 configuration by default, which is good since that is a paid option in some cars. The standard steering wheel has the multifunctional buttons but lacks the paddles, and is manually adjusted. The buttons can be clicked or swiped, which some reviewers have said makes them too easy to activate by accident. You also have a manually adjusted rear view mirror. Interestingly, the standard air conditioning system is triple zone, with a small screen at the back for the rear zone, and there are no upgrades. Often this is one of the major options that people like to take, so it's nice that you don't need to pay extra for it. The basic interior lighting is limited to the regular lights that you get in any car, over the front and rear seats, on the vanity mirror, and in the boot. Lastly, there are aluminium door sills and a fire extinguisher. Now let's look at the many options for the interior. I went over the different options for the seats earlier, with the various comfort and sports versions. As well as the style of seat, you also have options to add heating for the outer rear seats, electric adjustment and ventilation for the front seats, and 2 memory settings for the driver's seat and the wing mirrors. Again, we saw the different steering wheels earlier. As well as the different shapes, there is an option for a heated steering wheel and an option for electrical adjustment, although that tends to be buried deep inside the option packs and doesn't seem to be selectable on its own. If you take this option, your individual steering wheel position is also memorized with the seat memory. It also moves the steering wheel automatically when you turn the car off to facilitate getting in and out of the car. Some more options include automatic dimming for the rear view mirror and an upgraded comfort armrest. The main differences with that are a sliding cover for the cup holders and the ability to set the armrest to different heights. The Audi phone box is a space in front of the central armrest and cup holders where you will find the USB ports, which charge up to 15 watts as standard, and a slot to hold your phone securely, with wireless charging. The optional smoker's kit adds an ashtray here. This seems to be standard in some countries and an option in others, so I advise you to check with your Audi dealer. There are also several options for decorative inserts in case you haven't already maxed out your generous budget for the company car. The Ambient Lighting Plus package needs some explanation. You may have seen reviews of the Q6 showing the coloured light bar going across the dashboard just below the windscreen. This is part of the ambient lighting package, together with all of the other coloured lighting around the interior of the car. There are 30 colours available, and the coloured bar changes to show various things such as when you are indicating or the battery level during charging. It's a bit disappointing that the ambient lighting is an option, but perhaps that's a good thing as it can be distracting when you're driving at night. Literally the biggest option in this section is the panoramic sunroof. It's not a cheap option, but I think the extra light in the car is welcome and makes the car feel more spacious, especially for rear seat passengers. You can get sun blinds for the rear windows too, although I've been told that there are aftermarket solutions that are better and cheaper. If you go on long journeys with kids in the back, something like this can be very useful. In the boot, you can get a boot separation net to prevent items or dogs from going over the rear seats, and a boot sill protector. I'm not sure exactly what that consists of. It might be an aluminium boot sill instead of a plastic one, or some kind of covering that goes over it. I'll put details in the description below this video when I find out more about this. Lastly, there are some more aluminium inserts, but they aren't well described and I don't know where they go. Let's move on to one of the more exciting areas of the Q6 e-Tron, the console and the infotainment system. For my money, this is an area where this Audi really shines. It has a beautiful curved display with 2 large screens by default. No pernickety options here with smaller or larger versions. You always have the Audi virtual cockpit with navigation, infotainment and all of the car management settings, together with the Audi service call function and voice commands. Local map data is included, in my case this covers Europe. The system is built upon the Android Automotive operating system, and you can install other apps on the system through the built-in App Store, such as YouTube, weather information or your favourite parking app. Now it's true that the Q6, like a lot of other electric cars, has almost no physical buttons for things like the air conditioning, and this is a choice that is often criticised by car reviewers. However, the aircon functions are always available at the bottom of the MMI screen, so I tend to think that won't be a major problem. I'll give my thoughts on this when I make my review after getting the car. The standard sound system includes 5 speakers with a maximum combined output of 200 watts. The system includes full smartphone connectivity, including Apple Play and Android Auto, and both wired and wireless charging, including 2 USB-C ports at the front and in the rear. That's already quite a lot of standard features, but there are more options. The Q6 has an advanced head-up display with augmented reality. This looks cool, but it's an expensive option and it didn't make the cut with me, since you get all of the information in the virtual cockpit anyway. A novelty for Audi is the extra screen for the front passenger, which allows them to set up navigation, adjust settings, or install apps and watch videos. In Belgium, this comes in a pack with the electric front seats, and so I went for it, and time will tell if it's useful or just a gimmick. The Bang & Olufsen sound system is a major upgrade to the standard sound, with around 20 speakers. The exact number depends on the type of seats that you have, since some seats also incorporate speakers in the front headrests. Another option is to have USB sockets with higher charging rates, up to 100 watts, which is suitable for running laptops. This is normally one of the minor options buried somewhere in a business or technology pack. Lastly, in some packs there is an in-car office function, which adds direct access in the multimedia interface to email and calendar functions. This enables the car to read your emails out loud to you and to give you reminders for appointments, as well as automatically dialing into phone meetings and navigating to addresses in calendar appointments. I imagine that this will be very useful for some business people, and it's another innovative function that has surprisingly not been well publicised. The next section, Safety Systems, is relatively short and simple, at least for the customer, although it's an area that all manufacturers put considerable effort into. The Q6 has not yet received a Euro NCAP rating, although Audi has a very good track record in this area, with 5-star ratings for both of the adjacent models, the Q4 e-Tron and the Q8 e-Tron. It has the safety features you would expect, and there is an additional safety pack which includes extra airbags, detection of rear passengers and various other warning features. An alarm is also an option. The Q6 has theft protection as standard, and the alarm option just adds the audible alarm when some kind of incident is detected. This may or may not be relevant for your insurance. It's best to check in your local market. Let's move on to the penultimate section, which I've called Driving Assistance and Warning Systems. The Q6 includes quite a lot by default, including a speed limiter and basic cruise control, and camera-based traffic sign recognition, so it always knows the current speed limit and can warn you if you exceed it. This is a regulatory requirement, and thankfully you can turn the warnings off. I have yet to experience how annoying the various warning sounds will be in this car. I'll come back to that after I get the car. You also get basic rear parking assistance with indication of the distance, driver attention or fatigue monitoring, hill hold assistance, and various warnings such as lane departure, side assist, exit warning, and rear crossing traffic when reversing. There are 3 options in this area. You can upgrade to adaptive cruise control, which will adjust your speed to the vehicle in front, including stopping and restarting the car. You can get full surround cameras, and also the Park Assistance Plus function, which detects spaces and parks the car automatically for you. I have this already in my 2016 A4 Avant, and to be honest I've hardly used it, but some people might find it more useful than I do. It's been a long haul up to this point, and congratulations if you're still awake, but we've reached the last main section. This is the Miscellaneous section, where I put everything that didn't seem to fit anywhere else. You can see a number of different features that are included as standard. I'll just pick out a couple of them. The Drive Select function allows you to select different driving modes, partly depending on whether you need to extend the range or if you want a sporty feel. A heat pump is also included as standard, which is an option on many electric cars. The heat pump reduces the battery energy that is used for the air conditioning, and therefore extends the car's range. It's more useful in colder climates. The options here are a rather random selection. The first options are the different suspension options. The S Sport suspension is 20mm lower and, I believe, slightly firmer. The adaptive air suspension is also available with certain configurations. My Q6 will have the S Sport suspension. You can have an integrated garage door opener based on the HomeLink standard, and in principle a digital key is available whereby you can use your smartphone as a key. I have seen somewhere that this was not yet available, so that's a detail to be checked if you want to use this option. The convenience key, sometimes called the comfort key, allows you to unlock the car simply by opening it when you have the key on you, without pressing the unlock button. This includes opening the boot by waving your foot under the back of the car. The car detects the key if it is within 5 feet or about 1 meter 50 centimeters. The safe lock is a second deadlock system that prevents a thief from breaking a window and opening the car using the interior handle. This can be a problem if you accidentally lock the car with a passenger still inside, because they are then unable to get out, and so the safe lock option gives you a warning whenever you leave the vehicle. An option that is peculiar to electric cars, and a bit peculiar in general if you ask me, is the e-Tron Sport sound. This provides artificial driving sounds to compensate for the quietness of the electric motors. I'll try this out, but it's certainly not an option that I would have taken if it didn't come in a pack that I wanted. Next comes another option that is specific to electric cars, which is the advanced preconditioning. Preconditioning in general refers to two functions. It refers either to the heating or cooling of the battery to the optimal temperature before charging, or to setting the cabin temperature of the car before a planned drive. You can set the day and time of your next journey, either in the car or using the My Audi app on your smartphone, and the desired cabin temperature, and the car will heat up or cool the interior in advance. According to the salesman at my local Audi showroom, the advanced preconditioning probably lets you set additional functions, such as heating the windscreens together with setting the cabin temperature. Lastly, you can suppress the model name on the rear of the car, and an Audi folding box is included in some packs. I think this is simply a box that goes in the boot to help you to put smaller items in there, such as groceries, without them sliding all around the boot. The Fleet Protection Pack, which is available in Belgium, includes additional rubber mats for the footwells and boot, which you can probably find as accessories elsewhere. The rest of the video was based on the standard Q6 model, which most people will buy, myself included. However, I also checked out the options that are available for the higher spec SQ6, which has 4-wheel drive and more power, 490 horsepower, giving a 0 to 100 km per hour time of 4.3 seconds. The SQ6 has a different exterior look, as you can see, but otherwise the options are generally the same as for the Q6. There is a shadow look option that turns some exterior elements black. There is also a red leather S-line seat pack that seems to be exclusive to the SQ6. Also, some of the lower spec options are not available for the SQ6, such as the smaller alloy wheels and the non-sport steering wheels. That's about all for the SQ6.
In conclusion, I hope that this video will be helpful for anyone thinking of buying an Audi Q6 e-Tron. I think this is a very exciting development in the electric car market, and perhaps the first one that I find truly convincing. I'm really looking forward to getting my Q6 in January, and I'd be happy to read the experiences of anyone who receives their car before me in the comments below, as well as any questions or corrections for anything I get wrong. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.